is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today we have constitutional activist and primary Republican candidate for the House seat 75, Heather Beech, joining us. Thank you so much, Heather, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I recently saw that you were involved in the Pulaski County Special School District meeting this past week. Several parents petitioned the school board to have a special meeting to overturn the mask mandate. It was a huge win for parental rights, and I know that the parents there were just overjoyed in Pulaski County. Tell us about that and what happened.
Well, so my friend Rebecca she called me and she said, Heather, I'm tired of dealing with these masks. I want to get them off my child. And she said, I know you've been facing all the school boards across the state. I want to know how to get this started. And I said, well, let's get the petitions going. So she actually had an overwhelming number of people who came out and who wanted to sign the petition. So we turned it into the school board and got a meeting set. And then we had the meeting, just a few days ago. And it was just, I think so many people out there really want to get the mask off their children. They just don't know how to go about doing it, or they don't know that there's more people out there who feel the same way. And when we showed up to that meeting, there were just so many people there. There was not one person at that meeting that opposed the mask, or that was for the mask, I guess you would say. Everybody that was there wanted the mask off their children. And it felt good to be in a room full of people that felt the exact same way, and that wanted the exact same thing. And they wanted to have parental rights to make that decision for their child. And I just, I think this is just like the tip of the iceberg with the mask mandates. I think this is a control issue with the school boards, and it's not really so much the school boards as it is the superintendents that we're finding out. It's more the superintendents than it is anybody. But we're just finding out that, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're starting to dig deeper past the mask mandates into the critical race theory. They said that they're not pushing critical race theory in the schools. Well, we're finding out that they're pushing a new program called social emotional learning. And these superintendents across the state have signed this contract already. And they're using the ESSER funds, the federal funds that they were given by the governor. And they're using that to purchase this curriculum. It's some of them are named different. Some of them, I think one of them is called by named Panorama, but they're all social emotional learning. And then you have Whitehall that just opened up a clinic yesterday for the vaccines for the children ages 5 to 11. So I think the mask mandate was just the tip of the iceberg. But back to the meeting, we walked in there, and to be honest, I was really unsure about the situation. And we had a few parents that got there and did their testimony. And then we had a couple of doctors. And then, of course, we had Greg Payne that showed up. And, you can argue the science on both sides, but the real issue is that they just don't have the constitutional rights to do what they're doing. And I'm not really sure that the school board really could grasp that. I don't know if they understood what Greg was saying or not. But it ended up being a 4-3 vote, and they looked at the mask mandate. They gave it an option to wear a mask, is what they said. Right. But I am a little concerned that they might revisit, putting the mask back on the children, because they don't really understand what constitutional rights they have and what they don't have. Right. So, we'll see, but it was a really good night. Everybody was just super excited. One of the parents said, I dropped my child off for the first time in 2 years, and my child was able to see their teacher's face and their the other student's face for the first time. So, that's touching to hear that kind of story from the parents.
Absolutely. One thing about this situation is how these parents got the school board to hold a meeting, and it is through a petition, and that's one avenue that not many people know about. I think even the Pulaski County School District they said, well, hang on, let us look at this and see what this petition is all about and whether, it falls within, the realms of us being able to do this. But that is a great tool as far as getting a petition. You need a minimum of 50 signatures. Wouldn't you
Right.
say that more parents need to do that? They need to know about it?
Absolutely. And, it's real easy just to get the money going and file a lawsuit. But I think sometimes you've got to get people mad in order for there to be action, and to wake them up. Because what I'm finding now with all these school board meetings that I've gone to and dealing with the parents is that I would say like 75% of the parents that are out there are in the dark about their school boards. They have no idea who the elected officials are. They don't have a relationship with the superintendent. And there's, the school board, they have so much power. It's insane how much power they have. Not just, with masking your children, which they actually don't have the power to do that, but picking out the curriculum and stuff. And so people are waking up, they're getting these petitions signed, and it has to be 50 voters. Like, you have to be a registered voter in order to sign the petition. We're finding that out. But it's just waking people up, and I love it. And I love seeing that parents are starting to get involved. People that were just so quiet and, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to do this. I'm starting to see them be more vocal on social media and start to come out and say, you know what, if we don't stand up for our children right now, there's no telling what's going to come at us, because, you see all these federal mandates that are coming down the drain. And it's something new every day. So I just think that parents really have to step up and take control over their school board, and run for office, and not just, like I'm running for a representative position, but run for school board. That's a super easy position. Almost every single one of the seats are open in 2022. So I just want to encourage parents to get out there, put your name in the hat, run for school board. And the only thing I get, from parents, they're saying, I don't feel like I'm qualified to be a school board member. And I just want to say, just show up to one of the school board meetings, and then you will be reassured that you are definitely qualified to do this, so.
Yes. Well, speaking to parents, I think what we've seen over the past 2 years, before, a lot of parents, we were asleep at the wheel. We were, consumed with taking our kids to football practice or ballet, or we were just, we were fine with the status quo of keeping things the same, not rocking the boat. I'm sure everything's fine, but really COVID and, virtual learning has opened the door where parents were within earshot of hearing some of the things that the kids were being taught. And then they're back at school with the unconstitutional mandates. And I think parents are finally saying, you know what, we can't sit by any longer. And most recently, the Republican Party, conservatives, they were called the parent party, which I agree with. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. If you are a Republican, you are a constitutional conservative most of the time. You should be, at least.
Right.
So, if you look at the Constitution, the base of our Constitution is built off of individual rights. It never says anything about school board rights or business rights or anything like that. It all boils down to individual rights. And then, you have the school board that's overreaching that. They're overreaching our parental rights. So yes, absolutely. I think even Democrats, I'm having some Democrat friends that are starting to open their eyes, and they're looking at their own party like, okay, you guys are communists, and it really is. I mean, if you look at their party, they're communists. And if you look at the Republican Party, we're for freedom and we're for choice. And if you want to send your child to school with a mask on, if you want to go get, the vaccine, have at it. You do what's best for you and for your child, but it should never be mandated. It should never be forced on you to do something out of your will. So, if that makes sense.
So as we mentioned earlier, you're jumping in the primary race for House seat 75. That's in West Little Rock. Talk to us about that seat. The lines look a bit different.
Right. So it's the old 32 and 34 district in West Little Rock. Jim Servilo was the representative in this area for quite a while. And we had some election integrity issues in Little Rock. So Jim Servilo was ahead in the votes. And then like a week later, it came out that Ashley Hudson had beat him by like 20 votes or something. It was a really low number. And I don't think that's true. I think Jim Servilo probably beat her, but you know, like I said, there was some election integrity stuff that went on in Little Rock. So the way the map turned out, it looks like it's actually a pretty conservative map. So I feel pretty confident, to be honest. And we do have a little bit of an area that is Democrat, but at this point, if you are paying attention to what's going on in your government, not just on federal levels, but even your local levels, if you just look at one of the posts that I did on Facebook about one of the school board members who was a Democrat, that just gives you a good glimpse as to what you're dealing with the Democrats. So I just don't understand anybody could vote for them anymore. So, and I just want people to know that I'm for their rights. I am for freedom, and I will fight for them no matter what. So
what do you see as the top issues for the state of Arkansas that you're focusing in on your campaign, and maybe any obstacles that may be in the way as far as accomplishing the Republican platform at the Capitol?
My big issue right now, you know, of course, I'm a mom. So my big issue is on education, not just the mandates, but I would love to have school choice and have a tax dollar follow the child. If you look at Florida, that's exactly what DeSantis has done in Florida, and their education and test levels have skyrocketed. And what you're just basically doing by having the tax dollar follow the child, you're creating a free market. And we all know if you are a Republican, free market always works. So what you're going to have is you're going to have schools that are going to be competing with each other for that tax dollar from the parent. And I think you're going to get better teachers. I think you're going to get better students. I think it's just going to be a really good system. And you're also going to be able to focus in on better curriculum as to what's going to work for your child. You know, they try to do this one size fit all for these children, and it's not the case. There's so many different programs out there that I just feel that parents need to tap into, and that these the teachers need to tap into to use. One of them is a Becca. A lot of private schools use it, and it is a solid curriculum. They don't have, of course, they don't have critical race theory, but they don't have the Common Core math. So education is a big thing. Election integrity is another big issue that I want to touch, and special tax elections. We just had, you know, the tax election here in Little Rock just not that long ago, last week, and the number of people that show up for these special tax elections is it just blows my mind, and they cost money to run. So I want to do away with special tax elections in Arkansas.
How can people find out about your campaign or get involved?
So I have a Facebook page. It's Heather Beech Turchi for Arkansas House of Representatives. If you can't find me on there, you can just look me up, Heather Beech. I'm all over social media. I don't have a website right now. I'm working on that. So as soon as I get it up, I'll post it on social media.
Well, keep us posted on your campaign and any other developments there in Little Rock. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.